Guys, we've all experienced pain, loss, love, all of it. And I know that we're all in our feelings from last week. We're more in our feelings after this episode. So let's stay tuned and talk about it.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Guys, welcome back to the Station 19 AfterBuzz After Show. I'm one of your hosts, Linda Antwi, and to my left is the amazing Tsahai. Hi, Tsahai.
Hi, how are you?
Girl, you know, my eyes are red and puffy. I'm looking a hot mess because this episode took me all the way there. Like, all the way there.
I mean, I'm not crying. You're crying, but I was really crying because it was so sad. I mean, Ripley, R.I.P. Yes, it was just a lot.
Yeah, I think what the writers did with this is I think that we've, like I said in the open, we've all experienced some type of loss. And I think that this episode just stirred it up in all of us. And plus, we didn't want Vickley to not be Vickley. And who knew we had 2 weeks of sadness. Like, literally, I was crying for an hour.
Yeah, basically. But doesn't it feel like they just got together and then, bam, he's dead?
Yeah, it really does feel like that. They gave us no time with them.
No.
Even though Lucas was on the show for a while, they didn't put those two together till, last minute. It was like a 2-minute decision, and boom, let's rip our hearts away and just make all the fans sad. And I do have to say this.
Yeah.
Over the week, a lot of people have DM'd and the comments on YouTube, all that. The fans are mad.
Angry.
Mad.
Yeah.
Mad. There's a boycott going on. People are writing ABC. Some people wanted to be a dream sequence. All of this stuff. And people are boycotting it so much so that, did you see the Instagram video that Brett put up?
So handsome. Yes, so sad, but yet also he was so handsome, and the accent I loved it.
Oh, yeah, because I tagged you in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so he put up a video, guys. If you haven't seen it, go to Station 19's Instagram and take a look at it. But he was basically like, don't boycott Station 19, hold on for Vic, and see what happens.
And I hope there are other jobs available for him. I hope this means he's moving. He left the show solely to move on to another project. So hopefully we'll get to see his smiling face again.
You still have Dean. Calm down.
Oh, Dean and I, Dean, I'm here for you. I'm your shoulder to cry on, Dean. When you need me, it's not just Nikki that's here for you. I'm here for you.
Oh, my goodness. So funny. So I think that's our overall thoughts.
Yeah, it was just really sad. I was choked up, and you know what? Damn you, Levi Schmidt came in with those flowers. That part, that's when it got to me.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing got to me. I think that either I'm feeling super emotional or the writers just nailed it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But we open up with Andy and Maya and the awkwardness of their friendship, and also them trying to be there for Vic. And I think that what's shocking and what was really important to me in that opening scene was everyone deals with grief differently. And some people want to do for you, like do this, do this, do this. I'll do your laundry. I'll cook for you. I'll do this.
Right.
And everyone deals with it so differently. So it's interesting how we try to all cope when there's a loss.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts?
I was surprised to see that Vic was staying with them, but I was happy to see that it happened, and it forced Maya and Andy to focus on someone else other than themselves, which was good, and I think it gave them perspective on the situation that they're going through. And I'm glad that Vic had 2 people to rely on, and she went to her girls during this time.
Yeah, I definitely think that she had, because they're family, and I know that we've talked about that quite a bit, and they're the dynamic trio. But I also think that she really did have Travis, and Travis does have her back. So as a station, they all stuck together, and it was interesting also to see how each of them dealt with it. So next was Ben, and Ben was by himself. He's at the beach, and he was just kind of taking it all in. Because I think as a surgeon, he knows how to put everything in its proper compartment and deal with grief as grief. And then there was Dean and Jack at the boathouse.
Yeah.
What did you think of seeing them in the opening scene and how they were dealing with it?
It was just interesting to see how the men and the women were coping differently with this grief. To see Ben walking along the water and him having been a surgeon before and experiencing death before, I was wondering, I wonder what this meant for him. And later on, we saw that he just didn't even know what to expect from a firefighter funeral as this was approaching. And Jack and Dean, it just gave them an opportunity to sit back and reflect as well. So everyone was kind of reflecting.
It was, definitely. What I think that it solidified, for me at least, for Ben, was that his surgeon training is going to make him an excellent paramedic, and he's able to deal with any situation, any emergency at any time. And so, not even knowing what a firefighter funeral looked like, he was going to be able to handle it. And he showed that on the aid card, and we can talk about that when we get there.
Yeah.
I thought Travis played an important part because we know from this season, last season, from his whole storyline, that he is one of the few people that has dealt with death.
Yeah.
And especially someone that is your life partner. So his perspective, I thought, was important. I thought that he really stepped it up. And I also think it was a healing situation for him because up until now, he was the only one that was dealing with grief besides Andy.
And Sullivan, too.
Yeah, but dealing with it in that he hadn't moved past. Well, I guess
It was fresh for him.
Yeah, I think this episode showed that even though we've all had grief and they've all had grief, they're all in different stages of grief. And I think his was the freshest still.
Agreed.
And he was the one that hasn't moved past it yet.
Yeah, because Travis, it was 2 years, just the passing of Michael was only about 2 years ago. Andy said that she was 9 years old when her mom passed. And then Sullivan, he was an adult. So all these other people had experienced it. But for Vic, it was fresh.
Yeah.
2 weeks old.
Yeah, 2 years.
For Vic, I was saying.
Oh, for Vic.
It just happened, 2 weeks ago? Yeah.
Vic at the coffee shop in complete denial and the anger. And she really played all of the stages of grief. And it was so heartbreaking to see her. And it was heartbreaking for me to see her not be able to deal with it. Yeah. And isolating herself. And I love that her firefighter family was like, no, we're not going to let you go through this alone.
Yeah, so she was being really stubborn, so that was upsetting. But when she told Cam, the waiter at the diner, oh yeah, my husband's at work, I was like, oh no. For me, if I experience some type of trauma, I don't even go to places that remind me of the person. So the fact that she was able even to step into that diner, sit down, have a coffee like it was a normal day, it showed you how far her grief had gone.
Yeah, she was in denial.
Her denial, yeah.
Yeah, she was all the way in denial. Your, husband is not at work. He's passed, and you're not dealing with that. And then we had Ripley and Andy, and Ripley kind of dealing with it through his eulogy and trying to get help from others, and have actually Andy write the eulogy. She's like, I'm not good at it. I can't help you. And he went to Travis, and Travis was like, I can't help you either. Yeah. So it actually forced him to do it himself. But when it all came down to it, Andy was the one that gave him the best advice. Speak from your heart. Yeah. Speak to him, and the rest will just come naturally. And it did. And it was so touching. And we'll get to that as well. Yeah. But what did you think about that part?
When she told him, when Andy told Sullivan, be raw if you need to be raw, and that would, like you said, was really good advice. But can you imagine holding a grudge with this person that was once your friend for so long, and then they die just as soon as you make up with them? I'm sure that's something that Sullivan was struggling with too, just them finally becoming friends again, and then he's gone from his life too. We were already sad as the fans to see Vic and Ripley. We just met them, and then he's dead. But Sullivan also was coping with that as well. Just he didn't have enough time, gone too soon.
Yeah, he did. What I think was good though is that they got their closure. They got to come back and be like, you know what? All the years are not erased by the few years that we weren't talking. You will always be my friend, and we're all good. You said, we are all good. I want to talk a little bit about Dean, and them throwing out I love you to his mom. And he's like, well, she says it after every phone call. So I figured, especially when there's a tragedy, you have to make sure that the people that you love know that you love them. Say it all the time. And I'll tell you something. I've learned that probably it's about 10 years ago now. I had a friend whose dad passed, and he said that to me. He said, Linda, you know what? The one thing I miss saying is I love you to my dad. He's like, make sure that you say I love you often. Even if it sounds crazy, just say it all the time. Yeah. All the time, because you never know when it's going to be the last time. So that is something that I've lived by for like the last 10 years.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, seeing Dean, hearing him say I love you to his mom on that phone call, it showed that they both had opened up a little bit more than they had in the past. So he was opening up. They had come to like an unspoken agreement. And like he said, it was because things were, quote, going well with Nikki. When I was like, Nikki who? Like, when did that happen? We had seen nothing of Nikki after the first date, and now things are going well. It was very strange, but I was happy I'm really excited about this Nikki Dean relationship.
You're hating on Dean and Nikki right now.
I'm happy for them. I just was caught off guard. I didn't know when this, things had like progressed.
But we saw it last time where he was like, should I accidentally like text her or call her? We saw that in the last. Oh, are you rolling your eyes?
I mean,
wow.
Yeah. I mean,
she's hated.
He went from accidentally texting her to things, going well. What does going well mean?
Going well means that they've been texting back and forth, and they had. We'll get to that too, but they had their first date at the wake, which is odd. But he's all in. She seems great.
Yeah, I like her.
She seems great.
Yeah.
She's smart and
She's
all
spunky.
of that. Yes. Before we move on, let's talk a little bit about our network.
Well, we at AfterBuzz call ourselves the ESPN of TV talk, and we just wanted to thank you guys for helping us continue to grow, and we can continue to use your help. Just like you're in the comments on this show, we'd love to make sure that you're in the comments of every other AfterBuzz show. We want you to like, share, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating when you see us on YouTube or on Spotify or wherever else you listen to podcasts. So thank you for helping us and making us the ESPN of TV talk, and we love you.
Yes.
I also want to give a shout out before we move on to the people in the comments from last week, because they were some passionate comments here. We had Dreamcast, Shell, Tony Robinson, Only God Can Judge Me, ha, and Tricia Annette, Crystal Sims, Tiny French Fries, Tia Diaz, Victoria Torres, Carla Walton, Deborah Buonamo, excuse me for any mispronunciations, Gemini 3, thank you again, Blue Sweetness 86, Precious C, Chels M90, Audrey O, from 303, and that is it. Thank you, everyone. And we've got some folks in the live chat, right?
Yes, the live chat is going off. So we want it. Tiny French. Hi, Tiny French Fries.
Yes.
I like that screen name, Tiny French Fries. Hi there. And then Nyla is in here. And I'm not even going to try to butcher your last name, Nyla. Victoria Torres. Hello. Fantastic Family Adventures. Hello. Guys, thank you so much for being in our live chat and joining us. We love hearing from you. Moving on. So let's talk a little bit about Ryan. So Ryan shows up at the firehouse. He hears that they're sending a supply caravan to the LA fires, which we'll talk about as well.
Yeah.
So in that, he tells Andy that, oh, by the way, I'm going for a tactical paramedic training in San Diego, and I'll probably be gone for a couple of months. Oh, and by the way, I'm going with Jenna. It threw Andy all the way off. Were you surprised by her reaction? And were you surprised that Jenna, because we've talked about this, you and I.
Yeah.
Jenna was able to push him when I'm sure that Andy has been pushing him, and she said that she's pushed him and suggested these things, and he's never done it.
Yeah, I was surprised by Andy's reaction to Ryan telling her that he's going away for this paramedic training. But again, we know that Andy doesn't like people playing with her toys. Like, once she dates someone, in her mind, they're always hers, and it takes her a little bit of time to kind of let go. But when she's forced to let go, she holds on. But then she finally learned. So I think that's what's happening here. Ryan has been her friend for so long. So they need to kind of separate in order to spread their wings in their separate directions.
I don't think he's going to go. But we'll get to that in news and predictions. So we move on to the aid car and the call that they go on for Nate. So first of all, I was already fragile from this episode, but when they walked in and he had the chandelier, because I love chandeliers, stuck in his chest like that, I was like, oh, I don't think I can take this.
Yeah, that was intense. I saw the spark, and then I saw things poking out of his body. I initially thought it was like he fell on a chair from like falling from a ladder. I did not realize until they said it that it was a chandelier. Speaking of chandeliers, if anybody saw the Met Gala this week, Miss Katy Perry was a live action chandelier. So they're trending, I would say, this week.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Steve. That was hilarious. I thought that him coding each time after Andy was like, today's not your day to die. Because what was the line? It was 1 minute you could be doing what you do. Next minute it could be over. And I thought him coding all the time was so powerful after that statement. Like, it's true. Like, you hear it all the time. Tomorrow's not promised, and love on people while you have them here, and all of that. So in that moment when I was watching that, those are all the things that were floating in my head. Like, you just never know.
Yeah, just give them their roses while they're here, and like you said, tell people you love them before it's too late. So.
And then do the things that you want to do.
But it also made me scared, because when he said 1 minute you could be living your life and then next thing, bam, it's true.
That's the
and
thing.
that makes it scary. When I think it could cause a little bit of anxiety if you think about life in that way. Like, oh my gosh, I could be driving and suddenly get hit in a car accident. You just never know.
I could be putting up a chandelier, fall off the ladder, the chandelier stabs me in the chest, and then I code and almost die.
Several times, and then Ben Warren has to patch you up with some gauze.
That's why you just get a handyman.
But can we talk about, that's true. I just love seeing Ben in action. Like, when he's doing his surgical stuff, like, and he knows what to do, he seems so confident, and I just love seeing him. I'm like, I like you as a firefighter, but I love you as a doctor.
So what are you trying to say?
I mean, when is he going to take this test to become the what is he becoming?
Yeah, the aid car specialist, whatever the name is.
I think it's going to be great for him to have the best of both worlds, but I really I miss seeing him as a doctor, and I loved how he joked. He was like that he's had three careers himself. So.
That he hasn't told any about. He just switched it up on his own.
I know.
Yeah, he's amazing under pressure.
Yeah.
And when he decided to pull the chandelier out of Nate, he knew exactly what to do and how to do it. And that's why when he was driving, I was like, why are you driving and Andy's back there when you have more experience and you're going to take this test so that you can be the elite, what are they called again? Paramedic.
Yeah.
You could be the elite paramedic. I didn't get it.
I think
know your role.
I think Andy had started the compressions, and she was at a point where she couldn't stop, so she had to keep going. So that's why he just ended up driving.
Well, no, she said that she started a 2-person compression and she needed him.
But before they actually got in the aid car, she had already started. I think
whatever it was.
Yeah.
No bueno.
But Ben saved the day.
Because that's the whole thing. He should have been there the whole time. He has the most experience. Don't know. Just don't know. Let's talk about Vic and Pruitt. So, I don't know. Something about Pruitt is always calming to me. I feel like he has such wisdom.
He does.
And so when he's trying to give Vic some wisdom and she was just angry at him, I was like, oh, she's really just not trying to hear anybody right now.
She was angry and very stubborn. And she's always been stubborn. But in these moments when I'm like, show a little bit of, you don't have to be so strong in this moment. It takes her a while to get to that point. But to see Pruitt trying to console her, I was like, don't be mean to Pruitt. He's been through this. He's the OG. Like, listen to him. Be respectful. She was getting a little respectful. And I was like, Vic, don't you do it.
Yeah.
But he was very sweet and patient with her. And I think he understood having had to, ring those bells for his wife back in the day.
Agreed. And then we see Jennifer come into the picture and really try to help Vic come to the funeral, because that was her whole thing, that she was not going. And what did you think of that? Did you think that was something that was going to convince her? Because Sullivan was trying to say, you two were the most important people in his life. You have to go.
Well, I would have still been mad at Jennifer too. She wasn't nice last week, and I understand. Yes, it was your brother, but I was his secret girlfriend. Basically, Vic was his secret girlfriend. So like, give her. It's not like she never had met Vic before. She met her before. They had a good rapport. So she should have been a little bit more considerate of Vic's feelings. So I would have been still a little bit salty. But to hear that Vic was like struggling with the fact that she wasn't officially his wife, that she wasn't anything on paper,
Yeah.
I was wondering if she was also going to be worried about what the other firefighters were going to say about her, but that's not something that she said. Somebody else said it. So Vic had a lot on her mind. So yeah, she was lashing out on everybody. So the fact that the sister was there too, she deserved to get it.
Throw her into the mix.
Exactly.
Then Dean came with the wisdom, and I thought that was great. The sea and enemies, and he was, and no one knew, and I didn't know. I was like, what is he talking about? And then I realized, you know what? What a great analogy, those freaky sea predators, and how we treat people when we are going through something. Even if they don't know how we go through, we lash out. So, and everyone was doing it in their own way. Vic was doing it. We saw Maya with her uncontrollable tears, and the reason why she's crying because she always holds everything in. And then we saw Jack, who just lashes at people all the time and then shuts down too. And then Sullivan, like everyone, Andy, and everyone does it in their own way. And then this analogy put it all in perspective, and I loved how they learned from it.
I know. Well, you see, having love in your life can change you. Dean, everybody else was falling apart, and he was sad as well, but he was composed because I think he knew he had he has something to look forward to now, and someone that's teaching him new things and is wise and he's learning from. So, yeah, Dean is the wise one this week. He gets the wise award.
I didn't even think of it that way, but it's so true. When you have love in your life, you see everything with a big heart.
With rose-colored glasses.
Yes, so true. Okay, when they took Nate to Seattle Press and not Gray's, I was like, why are we at this whack hospital? I told y'all, shut that hospital down. Did you see how slowly they were walking
I was
in
like,
there?
not this hospital again. I was like, Lord, the man gonna die. He
Right.
dead. Nate's gone.
He's been coding the whole time. They rushed him there, and you guys are just dilly-dallying. Stop it.
I know.
Close that place down immediately.
But it was 6 minutes away, so I guess they just had to go to the closest one. But that the nurse was like taking the information very slowly, and I was
All
like,
of it.
Come on, guys, put some pep in your step.
Pep in your step. Ridiculous. And then Ben's line where Andy freaks out, and she actually expresses to him, which I thought was a beautiful moment.
Yes.
All the things that she's dealing with. The loss of her mom, the tolling of the bell, her dad, and Maya, and Jack, and Ryan, and all of the things that were on her mind she shared with Ben. And when Ben said, you just need to take it one bleeder at a time, I was like, I am going to remember that line forever.
I love that.
Anytime you're in a hard situation, one bleeder at a time, because that's really all you can do.
Yeah. And when he said, when you cut someone open and there's tons of bleeds everywhere, think about that visually. Like, I would have not known where to start, but he says just start with one at a time. And I think that definitely applies to any situation that anyone is going through. And that was great advice.
Agreed.
I was surprised to see Andy just even express herself and get it all out. I was really proud of her in that moment, and I love seeing growth from our characters, and to see that growth from her, and for her to express, yes, I felt something when Ryan told me he's leaving, and I'm still unsure why. I was like, look at you growing and using weird words.
Finally. Finally.
We're only one episode away from the series finale.
Exactly. It took you all season, but finally we're seeing some growth and less selfishness. But I think she's just probably gone through so much.
She's probably worn out.
So we talked about Travis and Vic as well. Let's talk about Schmidt, because that was the pivotal moment that actually got Vic to go to the funeral.
Yeah.
So even though she had all her friends, aka family, around her supporting her, it took the person that she didn't know, had never met, with the extreme gesture. And I don't know if you guys have ever had that, where you've had like a random person do a crazy gesture for you. It it really is life-changing.
Yeah.
You know, because that person is thinking about you specifically. So when he came and said who he was, busy doctor, took time of his day to give her the exact flowers that
Ripley had
picked out. And then the message, ready to spend the rest of his life with you. I thought you might like to see them. I was like, oh,
I know.
it's over for me. By then, the tears were just like, I just had to say, you know
like
what, just go. Just
yeah.
go.
Yeah. You know, the thing is, I was just saying this to my best friend today. When there's a situation, sometimes it's hard for you to listen to those closest to you. And those are the ones, you know, they love you, so it's easy for you to lash out to them. But to a stranger, you may be more open to what they have to say. And that's what we saw with Vic and Schmidt during this interaction with the flowers. I think that was a beautiful scene. You know, here it is, we're in the gray, drab fire station, and the beauty of these beautiful flowers during this time when she's in mourning. It was perfect, and it really hit home.
And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. It's probably on a different show, but it's the small things. All the little things are so important, and those are the things that you remember. So remember that. So we get to the funeral, and it was beautiful and sad.
Yeah.
Beautiful and sad. And everyone just was so, they all looked so dapper. They all looked so sad. And the eulogy was perfect. Everything was perfect. What did you think?
It was just interesting to see, because here it is, it was something so sad, but then it was very structured. It reminded me of the military, and to see everyone in uniform and saluting. And I'm glad Ripley got the send-off he deserved. But to see his picture up there, that last photo that we saw, was sad. And to see my friend Dean cry, that broke my heart. But Sullivan's eulogy was great. But do you feel like he was kind of speaking to Andy at certain points?
He was.
But wait a minute now. And you know, by this time, Ryan had already said something to her about this hand-holding with Sullivan. So, and she's in denial about that. But we later see that she's opening her eyes to what everyone else is now seeing.
Yeah. I mean, when he said real friends connect with that one person, you can't always explain it, but it is what it is, and you find a way to each other, and it doesn't matter if you don't see them forever, 2 years later, 10 years later, whenever, you always make your way back to each other. And I was like, you're talking about Andy.
And during the funeral also, Maya held Jack's hand.
She held Andy's hand on the one side and Jack's hand on the other side. I was like, oh, that's good.
Now, do you think that it was weird that they made up at the funeral, like not before, not after, like in the pews of the church? And I'm speaking about Andy and
I was
Maya.
thinking, you know what? I don't think it was weird, and it's because it wasn't about them. And finally, they realized that life is too short. So let's not take a minute more to have this crazy feud. What I thought was weird is when they were at the wake and Andy tried to be like, oh, well, you can bring Jack over tonight if you want. I'm good with that.
Right?
Stop it, weirdo. That's weird. It's weird to even say. Like, just run into them and be like, ooh, this is awkward. But have that awkward moment, not like the awkward talk.
I know. I think, you know what's happening? What I'm seeing is, like, we thought that the reveal of Maya and Jack's relationship to Andy was going to be a huge thing. But now it seems like they're kind of like brushing past it and forcing us to focus more on Vic and Ripley's death. So maybe that's why suddenly one minute she's like, I'm mad. Next thing she's like, okay, I forgive you. And then next thing you know, hey, Jack, you can sleep over. Like, she's moving on real fast.
Yeah, she didn't mean that though. She's not all the way there yet.
Yeah. But that's weird. Think about it. Your ex
fiance
in the bedroom next to you with your best friend. What?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to play that. They have a whole season.
Yeah, I'm not that
next
evolved.
season to deal with that. And then we see at the wake that Nikki's a thing. We see at the wake that Travis, he took off his wedding band at the funeral, and at the wake he got blasted. And we knew that Vic being with Lucas was going to be an issue, right? And so when the guy brought it up and was like, oh, what about that hottie? She really lost it, and all that stuff. And then the fight broke out.
Yeah.
Did you see that coming?
I did not. I thought what was going to happen was that Travis was going to get drunk and potentially leave the bar and get in an accident. I did not anticipate him getting into a fight with another firefighter in an attempt to defend his friend. So that surprised me. I was happy about him taking off the ring. I thought he was just going to get reckless. Maybe he would have seen his ex and they would have had a one-night stand, like a rekindling of that romance. I just thought he was going to either get in a car accident or meet a guy at the bar and leave with him. I didn't know he was going to start
and
throwing
so there's
bows.
going to be some crazy repercussions from this.
Yeah.
Don't know what they are, but it's going to be a thing.
Agreed.
So yeah, guys, it was overall an amazing episode.
Yeah.
And it just really took me all the way there.
And what surprised me with this, it was sad. We knew it was going to be sad because it was a funeral, but they hit us with these heartfelt moments, like those flowers again, when Vic went into the diner and spoke to Cam, and she had to reveal to him
The truth
that one, he's not my husband. Two, he is dead and gone, and he will not be coming back and having coffee with me.
Yeah, all of it. It was sad, but so good. Let's move on to some news and gossip.
Yeah.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So, guys, let's start off with the crew at the funeral. And when I saw this on social media, I was like, you know what? It's too soon. Like, it's too soon.
I couldn't watch anything.
I was not ready. I was like, it's too early in the day.
Yeah.
A hero will go home for the last time tonight on our new Station 19. Y'all, yeah, a hero will go home, but you made him go home. I'm still mad. And then the next photo of Andy and Maya, I thought was beautiful, and it puts it all in perspective now that they've made up. The happiness and just like, you know, your person is your person. And there's always going to be your person. And if you watch Grays, you know that person is important.
Yes.
The next photo I thought was so great. It's like a behind the scenes. So you see all the essential cast and Ryan.
Hey, Ryan.
Right? Ryan is everywhere at this firehouse. I think Ryan should become a firefighter. Spin that in.
I'm here for it.
And here's how they can spin it in. Here's a good prediction. Because Ben is moving on to the elite, they're going to need someone in the aid car.
Okay.
And now that Ryan is getting his paramedic training, hey, open spot. And then the next one, again, is a behind the scenes. And what's fun about this picture is Janae. Am I always saying her name wrong?
Jaina.
Her stand-in double took the photo for her. So when she wrote that online, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then we see Travis and Andy, and they write, tonight's the penultimate episode. Get cozy, grab a snack, and try not to get caught mid-chew. And I was like, you know what? Power. They just look powerful in this. And then I thought this next photo was really fun. So this shows Shondaland, and it's celebrating the women of TGIT. You have How to Get Away with Murder. You have For the People, Station 19, and Grey's Anatomy all in one room, all beautiful, all powerful, all smart. And I was like, that is a great photo.
Yeah.
And then the next one is just like a glamour shot. Look how gorgeous she looks. And in her note, she writes, "Spice it up Sundays. That should be a thing."
She looks great.
Doesn't she look amazing? And then I thought these last photos I would dedicate to Ripley, because Ripley is the man, and because we have to say goodbye to him today. So this is the one we talked about. So we can move on from this one to the next one. This is saying goodbye to Ripley, and it's Sullivan and Ripley embracing.
So sad.
And you guys, we have to say goodbye. And so I thought these next ones should all be about Ripley.
Yes.
The next one is Ripley kind of looking sad.
Cozy. He looks very cozy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With his puppy. He's so handsome.
So handsome. This is what he's going to be doing now, because he may be out of a job.
Yeah, he'll find another job. He's great.
Woo!
I put this one in for you, Tsahai.
I appreciate this.
Just
Abs of steel.
gratuitous,
Yeah.
handsome man.
I appreciate that.
That's it. It would put a smile on all of our faces.
Many faces, yeah.
Since we've been so sad. And then the next one over is just the cast, one final picture with Ripley in it, and it says, "Love this cast." And Ryan.
Handsome.
Great. So handsome.
Oh, and Stacy.
Yeah. Stacy is a genius, like Shonda. Guys, let's move on to some fire facts. So, I got this article from the National Geographic, and the one thing that I wanted to tell you is that they found in space that there's this bizarre form of hot ice that is seen on Earth. And this hot ice can produce fire, but it's all natural, like it's all from nature. Now, it's a long article, but that's the gist of it. So, can you imagine that there's hot ice? It's like an oxymoron.
Yeah, I don't even, like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it's burning you and cooling you down at the same time?
It can create fire.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I said. But you guys can look it up. It's an article on National Geographic. Next fact that I wanted to talk about. So we know that the only place that fire can happen is Earth, right? So given that and what I just told you about this fire ice, I'm trying to figure out how it got created. Dun, dun, dun. I don't know. I'm fascinated by it. And then I guess my last, since it's been like such a sad overall thing, nearly 4,000 Americans die each year in house fires, and over 2,000 are severely injured. So fires, guys, we saw what happened to Ripley, and he didn't even get burned. It was the chemicals from the fire. We gotta just pay more attention. Like you mentioned last week about an electrical fire. You just never know.
You never know.
Safety precautions. Let's make sure that we're doing that. Those are my fire facts.
I think that's another thing, thinking about like how, I think that's what the Station 19 team was thinking about probably. Like, I didn't get burned up, but something, you never know what could happen to me in the line of duty.
Jack said it.
Yeah.
He said it in the beginning. He said he walked into a building, he came out a dead man.
Yes.
That could be any one of us.
Every day.
Which is, life is short. That's the overall encompassing theme of this episode is that life is short.
Yes.
You have to love on the people that you love. You got to do the things you want to do, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Let's move on to some predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So what are your predictions?
Okay, so I know we've been watching Sullivan and Andy, but I saw a moment at the funeral before they walked in between Sullivan and Ripley's sister, Vanessa. Do we think...
Jennifer?
I'm sorry, Jennifer, yes.
Jennifer and
Sullivan,
Okay.
yes. I think she's, they've been longtime friends. She's going to be mourning. She's going to lean on him, and, it's comfortable. So I see something happening. Maybe it will make Andy jealous. I don't know, but we should keep an eye out for it.
That's good. I like it. I think that Andy and Maya, this truce that they've had is going to be temporary. I think that because it wasn't this grief was so big that it was all encompassing. I think after time goes by, they're going to go back to being frenemies. And I think they're going to be frenemies because Maya and Jack are going to grow closer. Ryan's going to be gone, and Andy's going to have nothing to focus on if indeed what you're saying is true. But I do think that her and Sullivan are going to be a thing. I think that's the direction that they're going. And I think she realized it at the wake that, hey, you know what? It's more than. And if we looked at the preview, if you guys saw the preview at the end of the episode, when they were underwater, they had that whole moment. I was like, okay, yeah. I see it. That's what's happening.
And you know what? Remember that moment at the bar when Ryan tells Sullivan, first of all, the fact that Ryan and Sullivan were having a drink together was weird. And then Ryan says, you know what, Sullivan? You're all right. I was like, Ryan, are you letting go finally? Are you giving your stamp of approval? Like, Sullivan was even looking like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. But I think it was him realizing that they weren't a thing because Andy said they weren't a thing. So now you're okay. But if you guys were a thing, then I would be like, you're not okay.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought it was him saying, you know what? I know something's going on even in spite of what she said, but you're all right. I'm moving on with Jenna. We going to the paramedic training.
Yeah, we'll see. We will definitely see. And then the other thing, I said it last week, and I'm going to say it again this week. I think that Pruitt is going to be their new captain.
I agree.
And that's how he's going to come back into the day-to-day. Those are my predictions, guys. I know it was a sad one. I know that you guys were so upset from last week, as we all were. But it's a great show. So let's just hold on. Let's kind of kumbaya together and get through it. Next week is the season finale. And I thought an appropriate ending is what was said in the credits at the end, where it said, "The end is here." The end is here next week, guys. Let's just do it and enjoy it. I'm Linda Antwi. You can find me all across social media at Linda So Girly.
And I'm Tsahai Wilson. You can find me at Say Hi Tsahai. We didn't have Josh tonight, but he will be back for our final series finale.
Yes, Josh. Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you next
Good night.
week.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.